What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brain vs. Universe. I think we are at episode 18 now.
I think you're right.
Man, we got a couple things that have happened over this week. I'm not sure if you all have already seen the trailer for, what is it, Space Jam?
I watched it today, man. I'm fired up, actually.
You like it?
I like it.
Okay.
I want to see modern animation in a Space Jam movie.
It is going to be interesting the way that they did the 3D type of look for it, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they work.
I don't think Ty's feeling it, man.
Nah, I don't think he is.
I don't think he's feeling it. Not in the least.
No.
Come on,
no,
man.
no, not,
LBJ's
not even a little interested. No,
LeBron James is living rent free in your head right now.
I told you, I'm not giving conceptual space to stupid shit. Space Jam. The first Space Jam was ass.
I told him this earlier.
Why would this one be good?
This one, I said, can only be as bad or better. It really can't be worse.
And if it's better...
What's it mean, right?
Yeah. Like, if the first Space Jam, I mean, you have to give it a 1 out of 10. If you have a scale of 10, you got to give it a 1. You have to give it a 1. Yeah. It's absolutely god-awful. As a kid, I loved it,
back now.
but it's absolutely terrible. The acting, the story, it's just, I hesitate to even call a lot of that acting. I feel like that's disrespectful to, acting, to be honest. At first Space Jam, and now y'all want to talk to me about LeBron James.
Man. I mean,
LeBron James is the person to fix this problem.
He didn't do bad in Trainwreck.
Did you just talk to me about Trainwreck? What the hell is Trainwreck?
Oh, you never seen that?
Oh, wait, was that the Amy Schumer movie?
Yeah.
I heard he did
that
well in that. But didn't he talk for about all of 90 seconds?
Yes. It was very small.
Okay, so this idea, this whole like Renaissance man thing
that he's trying to pull off.
Look, I'm all for the hustle, the grind, get your money. LeBron James cannot act well, and I am not going to sit here and pretend as though he can.
No, well, I'm an actor, and I'll tell you straight up, it's not just because you're a pro. Your chances of being a good actor simply because you're a pro basketball player are as high as a clerk at a 7-Eleven. It has nothing. Here's where high pressure situations is the only thing you can be prepared for. Yeah. But I would argue that, I don't know, that's just disrespectful to an entire craft to say that's all it is.
Yeah. And here's maybe where we part ways with other people is I feel like in order to have a good movie, at the very least, the lead in the movie should be a good actor.
I agree. Yeah. Bill Murray.
At least the lead.
Mm-hmm. You remember Bill Murray was one of the major characters in the original Space Jam, right?
Yes.
He goes and finds Mike.
Yes.
Michael Jordan, ladies and gentlemen, for you younger folks out there, younger than I.
They know what it is. And y'all know what it is.
But you know I'm talking about, the trolls that pretend like we don't know what we're talking about. Ain't nobody care about Michael Jordan.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, the GOAT.
Yes.
But Bill Murray, that kind of presence, Bill Murray's one of those people you could just watch read the phone book. He's just entertaining. He's got that charisma. I think, and I worry, LeBron and them more or less are the stars to a fault. Like the other stars are, like Charles Barkley did not have a big role in Space Jam. But apparently Dame Lillard and Klay Thompson and Anthony Davis, and who's the fourth one? There's 5 guys.
Klay Thompson.
No, I said Klay.
You said Klay, Dame,
Anthony Davis, LeBron, and there's a 4th dude.
Or a 5th dude.
That's right, 5th. Yeah.
I can't remember who was the 4th dude. Well, no, there's a WNBA player that's in there.
Oh, that's what it is.
I can't remember. I don't know what her name is. So I'm sorry.
That's what it is. Listen, guys, I have to explain myself real quick because we live in 2021, and I'm supposed to be more. I'm supposed to be more emotionally intelligent than that.
Oh, that was no.
But you guys didn't know either.
No. Well, listen, this is why I feel like I get off the best in the end here on this subject is because I'm just not gonna watch this fucking garbage. I think it's trash all the way through. I don't give a shit. I don't care that Clay or whoever that WNBA player is.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Well, they have Don Cheeto.
Who?
You don't like Don Cheeto?
You said Don Cheeto.
Did I say Cheeto?
You said Cheeto.
You did
I was
say
like,
Cheeto.
who the hell is
Cheeto.
Don Cheeto? Is this one of those goofy comic book characters? Don
No.
Cheadle is an excellent actor, but he's put out some stinkers too.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're doing with him as.
What was
the
that, an
villain.
Ocean's movie where he had that awful British accent? Was
Was
an
that-
Ocean's
it
movie?
It was in Ocean's.
Was
He
that
had
Ocean's
a-
12?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah,
Awful
yeah.
stuff.
He played
Awful
British.
stuff from Don in that one. Sorry. Awful. It was awful.
I agree.
It was awful.
You know what role I
he was
liked him
great
in?
in Hotel Rwanda.
The Family Man. Have you guys ever watched The Family Man
Uh-uh.
with Nicolas Cage? This was back when Nicolas Cage was, you know,
I don't think I've seen
before
it.
before he
what?
sold his soul, right?
What was he? Yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to say.
Hey,
Good.
he won an Oscar back in the day. It's hard to
Right.
believe Nicolas Cage at the Oscars anymore, but it happened.
Oh, no, what was Nicolas Cage's last movie? Wasn't he playing like a judo
Hang on,
guy?
no, I got to stop you right there. His last movie? You mean his last like 60 movies?
Well, no, I mean like
Last
the
week?
most recent one that came out.
That's what I mean, man. Who the fuck knows what that is? It's something's probably debuting today. That's a Nicolas Cage movie,
That is true.
You
and
know what?
tomorrow and the next day.
The
okay?
last one
this
I
man,
saw-
I can't knock his work
Yeah.
ethic. It takes 9 months to make a movie. He's having to do some of these motherfuckers the same
Back to
day,
back.
I feel like Johnny Depp's
working
like
16-hour days.
Johnny
Johnny-
Depp is like 2 years away from like Nicolas
Being-
Cage status. Like once great actor, and then just the pirate movies, and then
Yeah.
the
Yes.
nasty divorce.
Hang on. The IRS and Amber Heard have one thing in common. In Ty's analogy, they represent the same chess piece here. Okay? In Ty's world, because Johnny Depp is the equivalent of Nicolas Cage in the future. We're going on
Right.
that assumption.
Yes,
And on that assumption, Amber Heard bankrupted Johnny Depp
right.
and also brought him into the middle of like one of the worst divorces we've ever seen in the public.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I mean, she shit in the man's bed
she fucked the richest person on the planet in his
And-
bed too.
and
Yeah.
a really
Or allegedly, we have to put that in there.
and another bad actress also. Cara
Cara
Delevingne.
Delevingne. Yeah.
But golly, man.
In the man's bed.
Yeah.
You imagine you find out your wife not only cheated on you, but she had a fucking threesome.
Yeah.
A threesome with, and if it's true, Elon Musk. Like, where do you know, your husband's out for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
How do you just go date and find Elon Musk? Even in the world of Hollywood, that's a big swing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't like that one bit. I don't.
It reminds me of Howard Stern. I mean, Howard Stern. Jesus Christ. Respect to Howard Stern here.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
have some,
goat.
Yes.
have some respect. Yeah.
Howard
He's the
Hughes.
Tom
Howard
Brady of
Hughes.
radio.
He was Elon back in the day. And Howard Hughes, you guys ever seen The Aviator with Leonardo DiCaprio? Martin Scorsese movie. Fantastic.
Yep.
And he looks at his wife because she's arguing with him and telling him he's crazy. And he goes, "You're an actress. I will hear no more."
Yeah.
And he walked off. And when I watch it now, I go, "Yeah, he's right.
Mhm.
There's levels to this, man." And I
There's
love
levels
and
to
I,
this life shit.
and
I'm
I would
sorry,
defend the
man.
actor if I could, but I can't in this case.
Yeah.
That's what happened with Amber Heard and Elon Musk. She is a hot
Yes.
actress. Also, kind of, she seems feisty to me.
She seems like Satan to me. Feisty? Feisty.
I think I might make that a meme.
She shit in the man's bed.
I think she's feisty. She seems like Satan to me.
She
And it's Easter, bro. You can't be talking like that.
She cut his finger off, a piece of his finger off. She had a threesome in the man's bed with Elon fucking Musk.
Here's the one thing I'd feel better about if it happened
And
to
then
me.
she took all his money and got him fired.
She could have fucked a bum. She could have done that.
Could've.
Some low-level,
fucked anybody.
light dude that got streamed at by Christian Bale like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
She could have fucked that guy.
Yeah,
But she found Elon Musk,
Yeah.
who's arguably, if there's a top 5 like most impressive males on the planet,
It's
you put Elon in there, wouldn't
yes.
I think I
Yes.
got him in one.
Yeah.
I got him in
No
one.
way
you? Over
around
Prince Harry?
Hell yes.
How dare you, man?
All right, so let me transition
Oh.
to this. I'm gonna say this. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to say this. Prince Harry can kiss my fucking ass. And so can Meghan Markle. Is that how you pronounce her last name?
How do you pronounce her last name?
Is it Markle or Markel? Markley? I really don't give a shit.
The American that's in the royal family now.
This woman, I'm sorry. I am from the American Deep South. So hearing Meghan Markle tell Oprah has interviewed Klan members.
Oprah
and
is
she was
OG.
incredibly shocked by this news, it seemed, that the 97-year-old Queen of England might have some questions about skin tone for the babies. That woman is 1,000 years old. She's white, and she's royalty. Actual royalty.
This is true.
And that's all she said?
It's like the Donald Sterling thing, right? When you're inside your house forever and you don't have to talk to people, when you're royalty, that's how that works.
When you're real life royalty. Over here, that's being a billionaire.
Yes. Yeah. In Europe, it's
no,
it's keeping up with the Kardashians in a castle.
And to be honest with you, I prefer the billionaire royalty because at the very least,
I can chew him out in public,
right?
And we have the same.
We can
value.
be critical of this person, and to some degree, they earned this spot. They earned their royalness. These motherfuckers spit in the face. They are the antithesis of all things that I stand for. That you should be given leadership positions based on merit. You should earn them. They should not be handed to you because you happen to come out of a certain vagina.
Some
and balls.
things are better than others.
That is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous premise. I reject it. Prince Harry sat there and looked Oprah in the face and complained about not getting a security detail when he left the royal palace.
I know. It's such a unprivileged life, isn't it? You don't get a security briefing on very private information, I'm sure, right?
Dude.
Because when you're the prince, you're. It isn't like when he goes and finds his spouse. He doesn't wonder what he might know about that person. He knows everything about them.
Exactly.
Because he has to. If you're in the royal family, it is like a cardinal sin not to know what you're bringing in there.
Yes.
That's why when you watch him, like I feel like part of the reason why Coming to America 2 didn't land. It landed on deaf ears for a lot of people. Because back in the day, people understood what that meant to go find a queen in Harlem. Because we didn't live in a culture back then where people seen themselves that way. So, of course, it seemed pretentious and like almost like imposter syndrome when you go, oh, you're going to be marrying into the royal family. Yeah. These days, it actually sounds like, I mean, for a lot of these girls on Instagram, it sounds like a Tuesday, if I'm being honest with you.
I find that to be incredibly dangerous thinking, to refer to yourself as a king or a queen, even to refer to yourself that way.
I feel like even it's just like a loose metaphor. It builds into you really thinking that way eventually.
Into you pedestalizing yourself, and you're a normal human. You stink.
It's like a white person trying to moderate the N-word. Just don't try it. I don't care if you put the ER or the A on it.
Still,
ain't no black dude gonna be like, he's cool. I like this guy.
Yeah, it's fine.
They got more respect for the races, probably.
That made me sick, man. That made me sick. And again, Meghan Markle is an American. Oprah is an American. I went. That's all the Queen said. I'm not saying the Queen is right to question the skin color of the baby or whatever. But if the 108-year-old Queen of England, if that's as far as she went, and I'm an American sitting in the royal palace, I go.
Yeah. Yes. It's absurd. It's fucking absurd.
I would roll my eyes. I go, oh gosh, she's 70,000 years old. Ugh. And keep on moving, being a princess and a prince.
I feel like
you expect me to feel. Do you know where I'm from? You don't know where I'm from. No one knows. I'm from Southeast Texas. Okay, you have to understand context, people. You have to understand that. Sometimes when you complain about certain things, you might be in the presence of a person who has had it, I don't know, harder than you have. And without fail, they are going to look at you. You're not going to notice probably because you're too busy wrapped up in your own world to notice. But the people around you who've had it harder than you are looking at you like you're garbage to complain about such a thing.
Yes.
I'm from the American South. I have heard white people say nigger with hard R. I've seen people wearing Confederate flags. A school in our district, their mascot is a rebel soldier, for God's sake.
Their name is the Rebels.
The name is the Rebels. Confederate flags all over the place. There's some woman,
South
in
Rising
Nederland, who had a Confederate flag truck. I used to see it around town. Did you ever used to see that truck? Had a Confederate flag painted on it. She had to spend a good amount of money to get these Confederate flags painted all over her truck. They were painted on. Not,
What's the car from Dukes of Hazzard?
I'm
asking black guys what the
General
car is
Lee?
from Dukes of Hazzard.
Why do I want to say General Lee? Or
It's
something?
correct. That's what it is.
That's
It's based
correct.
on the
Yeah,
it's based
it
on
is
the
that.
real life General Lee.
Right.
Yep.
So
It's a thing in the South, by the way.
Confederate flag on the front.
Megan, I don't feel for you, man. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't help but to compare your plight with my own.
She seems to me like a normal
the tone
person.
deafness of that. She does, or she did seem like a normal person to me.
That's what I was going to say.
Up until that discussion, I was just sitting there watching them say these things. And Oprah was like, "Oh my God, that's awful."
Because of course that's
I
what
went,
she
Oprah,
says.
for fuck's sake, Oprah, you used to be the realest. You used to be a real one.
But see,
Oprah would interview anybody.
Oprah is as close to a queen as we have in America.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, name someone else
Beyonce.
over Oprah. Oprah has more power.
Not over Oprah.
There's
no.
only one queen.
Yeah.
If she wants to be the
You're right.
princess,
It would have to be
princess.
It would have to be Oprah.
Yeah.
Or whoever the first lady is at the time. Maybe you can make that argument.
Yeah,
Maybe.
but kings
No,
and
Oprah's
queens
got more power.
aren't elected. They are they carve themselves into what they want to be.
Oprah
Yeah.
never had kids, man.
That is something.
Did she adopt? I thought she adopted.
Did she? I don't know.
I thought with this latest husband she adopted someone.
One of the most incredible
Hold up.
videos I've ever seen on
This latest husband. What happened to Stanley?
Him, yes. But I always-
Stedman.
Yes,
Sorry.
Stedman. I
Have
always,
respect for Stedman.
yeah, but how long she been with him?
Forever.
Forever?
Yeah.
Thought it's been a while.
Yeah.
Why? See, this is really sad because I don't think about him when I think about
Of
Oprah.
course not.
Of course nobody does, but it's
so
not-
this leads me to my
I
point.
thought
though.
I thought she got with him like 15 years ago.
No, Stedman's
he's-
been around
You're
Oprah
right.
for as long as
I knew
remember.
this and
I wanna
forgot,
say.
but it was
Oh,
only
so
because
long.
this guy doesn't come to mind.
Yeah.
Well,
Which is
so-
important. When I think about
so-
Bill Clinton, I do think about Hillary Clinton.
Right, right.
Yeah.
The spouse comes in.
Stedman is actually a very wealthy man. He's a millionaire, if not a 10 millionaire.
He walks the dogs, though.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. One of my favorite videos on the entire internet is Oprah and Stedman went to go get some dogs. Patrice O'Neal pointed this out, and I went and looked up the video and watched it. Anyway, they go into a dog store. They got Labradors, we'll say. They got dogs.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I don't." And he goes, "You can have 2 of them."
Ooh.
And she went, "All right." And she got 2.
Because, of course, she's going to respect a guy that
And
says
they
that.
left. Oprah could buy an island and a Labrador.
Yeah.
She could buy the Labrador an island.
I stand corrected, ladies and gentlemen. Stedman apparently
Stedman
is
Stedman ain't no
he's a
sucker.
Nah.
He's a stud.
A lot of people assume Stedman ain't no sucker, man. He ain't no sucker.
It makes sense, though. Oprah doesn't want to date some dude she can walk all over.
Yeah,
She
I would
walks
imagine.
over everyone.
Yeah.
I would
So she has to have
imagine.
one person in her life that's just like,
You can get 2
back
dogs.
up.
Yeah.
I was going to say something else.
Back
But
you motherfucker.
Please.
Yeah.
Please, Oprah.
Yeah.
Her name is, it's Oprah.
Queen.
Yeah.
Queen. Yeah, she's our
American.
queen.
Yeah.
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 But just like
incredible.
other queens, she's out of touch with reality at this point in time.
Very
I
much.
think so, and that's been happening when she started the network thing. I feel like her show used to be incredible.
Yeah.
Her show was incredible. The giveaway things they always used to do. You get a car, you get a car.
Yeah.
People still say that to this day.
I
and
did.
you get a.
I did hear her say she didn't have the energy to do that anymore.
That
Like
makes
working
sense.
5 days a week.
Yeah.
She-
Like when you're a billionaire, you don't want to do that shit no more.
And also, Oprah's in how old now? In her 70s?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
like it
so-
was totally understood to me. I
Yeah.
thought she was actually going to retire though when she did that.
Yeah.
She's
Everybody
kind of like
commented
found her way back in. My
Yeah.
favorite thing ever was like I like the Academy Awards, but my favorite thing was Oprah would do the interviews afterwards. And Oprah knows how to talk to actors and entertainers. Like, that's why Oprah is great at what she does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, when she looks you in the eye and asks you a question, you're going to give an honest answer.
Yeah.
I feel like for podcasters out there, Joe Rogan's show
That type of.
is filled that kind of void of
Yeah.
like, you can't be inauthentic in front of this person.
Exactly.
Yeah,
He's going to pull it out of you.
agreed.
She did that with all kinds of
Everybody.
everyone you could
Yeah.
think of.
everybody.
Paul McCartney down to the prince and princess of England.
Some of them early Oprah days, she want to act all bougie now. I haven't forgotten. Okay, there was a whole lot of baby daddy drama and
Looked a little bit like Maury
yeah,
at the start.
in the
yeah.
early days. Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
it kinda looks
yeah,
like.
yeah. I haven't forgotten Oprah. You got Lance Armstrong. You also got the baby mama drama
Yeah.
episodes though. Don't forget.
Where you come from.
What did Bill Maher say?
She
Or Bill-
forgetting out here. I
Bill
don't
Burr.
like that.
She stood on the shoulders of those little people.
yeah. She stood on the shoulders of all those little people. Oh man. All right. So let's transition here. Let's go.
What are we thinking?
Let's just go to the NBA. There's a slew of topics to discuss since we last met. Let's start with the current situation in Brooklyn.
Okay.
What's going on?
Since we last discussed, Brooklyn has also acquired LaMarcus Aldridge. They now have Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, James Harden, LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, what's that guy's name?
DeAndre Jordan.
Tom
DeAndre
Cruise,
Jordan,
Hercules, and
Tom
and
Cruise,
Thor.
Hercules,
Yes.
Zeus,
Yeah.
Thor,
Thanos, he's on the team too somehow.
Half
Yeah.
the Avengers.
Joe Harris.
Yeah.
So we have another super team. And it makes me absolutely sick. I spent quite a while ranting about this last time, so I'm not going to rant about it all over again. But it, amazingly, has gotten even worse since we last talked about it. They just picked up, again, LaMarcus Aldridge. And I reject this idea about LaMarcus Aldridge is going back to his Portland days. I am a Spurs fan.
Yes.
I remember the Portland days,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember when he played for the San Antonio Spurs, most of all, though.
He had his moments on the Spurs, and that's what he's going to have there.
Yeah.
I remember a moment where we went to a Clippers game against the Spurs, and LaMarcus Aldridge had 0 points.
Yes. He shot
Remember
a bunch of he shot a lot too. It wasn't like he wasn't being aggressive in that game.
Big
I don't
old goose egg. And I went, of course.
You know who he is? He's Paul George.
Yeah.
Kawhi left LaMarcus Aldridge. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
He's seen the Spurs, and he's seen the calamity of what was only going to happen eventually when, Pop's the GOAT. But you can't win
Agreed.
without great players.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go, well, Phil Jackson never won without great players.
No, yeah.
If there's
absolutely.
anyone that's never won without great players, it's Phil
Yeah.
motherfucking Jackson. Okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, but anyway, I just wanted to touch on Brooklyn and the LaMarcus Aldridge signing. He's looked great in their first few games, but again, doesn't it?
Against the
To me-
Timberwolves or whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, I wouldn't give a fuck if they played a great team and he looked good. Because when you get to be the fifth scoring option, you get a lot of great looks.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, but nothing that Brooklyn is going to do this year is going to count in my eyes. It doesn't count. There's a big asterisk by it. Y'all have stacked the deck in your
100%
favor.
agree with you, by the way.
You have stacked the deck in your favor to such a degree that I've lost interest in the sport now.
Yes.
I've mostly been out on basketball.
Uh-huh.
I think it's
again,
worse than the Golden State thing.
It is
Yes,
worse.
it is.
You know why? It's not just the talent. It's also because they're in the East.
Yeah.
And it's going to
Yeah.
be so easy for them
To
to get
wipe
out of the
through.
East.
They can
At
get
least
through
Golden
the
State had to
East.
run into some hard people in
Right.
the West.
Right.
They still had a
They'll be
challenge.
able to get through the East with just one of them guys.
I think so.
With just James Harden and Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge and DeAndre
Look, before
Jordan.
they
Yeah.
did a
They'd be fine.
fucking thing, I had them in the finals losing in about 6 games to either the Clippers, the Lakers, or Denver. Whoever came out of the West in that first year,
Mm-hmm.
well, not anyone, I should say. But if it's Denver, the Lakers, or the Clippers last year, or this year, I should say, I would take them against the Nets in a 7-game series, especially with KD's, injury issue just this year too. He seems to be on physically. He's not at his prime anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe when he's on the court, he's lethal.
Yeah.
But the best availability or the best ability is availability, as they say.
Yes, sir.
That has to count for something. And I think that's why they're also double stacking this team. In the event that something like that happened in Golden State, KD went down and Golden State is now what? They just lost by 60-something points last night.
Right. Lord have mercy. They broke the Clippers getting our asses kicked record set earlier in the season.
And Steph was dancing and
goofing
around.
So yeah,
I feel like he's Rocky 3, bro.
Yeah, Golden State is it's becoming a little
But
rough.
your point is the Nets are Golden State 2.0 in the fullest sense.
2.0, yes. 2.0 meaning an improved version, because now I don't really even know how close it is, right? Like if Kevin Durant is the player in common, right? So we go to the next two guys, Stephen Clay versus Kyrie Irving and James Harden.
Yes.
Steph and Clay are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Agreed.
I don't know if I don't think Kyrie and Harden are like way better than them, but I think they're clearly better.
They could do more.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
And so, yeah, it's 2.0 in the sense that it's and now they before it was a situation where it was just the three of them and they didn't have much of anything else.
No, they didn't have a bench.
Well,
now they got a fucking bench. Yeah.
But once again, Prokhorov can just sign the fucking checks.
Yes.
You have shot the entirety of the league in the foot with this, because now this is going to have to turn into a spending competition for the championship.
Agreed. Yep. And
every year.
And I don't think Steve Ballmer, the only other one that has deeper pockets than him, I don't think Steve Ballmer is. He seems to be interested in helping the league.
Yeah,
more so than just his own personal glory. I say this because like Michael Jordan went from being like a billionaire to like worth $3 billion overnight because he overpaid for the Clippers. He intentionally overpaid for the Clippers to raise the value of every other team.
Yeah,
and doing stuff like that doesn't seem like he'd want to be the guy that overspent.
Yeah, see this you're right. So I don't know if he's cutthroat.
I don't know that. I'm just basing this on his etiquette so far. He seems like a solid dude.
Yeah.
And the guy you're talking about comes from
Russia.
He comes from Russia.
He doesn't give a fuck about none of this competition shit.
No. He's in America because he doesn't like the Russian economy. That's how that works.
Championship is good for business.
Yes.
A championship is good for business. You win championships. Again, winning cures all that shit.
But let's acknowledge one more thing while we're here. He also is in New York. You could really steal New York. It's actually possible to steal New York. The Knicks haven't won a championship since the 70s.
Nope.
They haven't been relevant since the late 90s.
Yep.
Has it been was it the 70s the last time?
72, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it?
I thought so.
Oh, I'm going to look.
Yeah, look it up. I think they won in 72. Who they beat, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's the same. Like, teams have changed so much since then, which should tell you something. But New York Knicks can be had. The Clippers could win the next 10 championships, and they would
73.
73.
73.
Okay. Yeah.
Going on 50 years.
Going on 50 years. 50 years. The Cowboys hadn't even won their first Super Bowl at that time.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys been a minute since we won shit.
Yeah.
So that was before our first.
Lord have mercy.
But you see, the Lakers can't be had. No matter how much money Steve Ballmer spends, no matter how much success the Clippers have, they're never going to be L.A.
Yeah.
L.A. our way, no way.
Yep.
Ain't happening. No way, no how, as Rob Parker would say.
Yeah.
Far too often, I would say. But in this case, I think the Clippers, what they can do is people like myself and you.
Yeah.
We're
people
transplants.
from other places. Yeah.
Exactly. We have no reason to be affinitude towards the Lakers. And I'm not that big of a LeBron James fan.
Yeah.
I love the guy's game, but it's the way he manages. I just want to be clear because I feel like I said something that's offensive just now by critiquing LeBron James.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I was about to say
all power to the guy, but he
I really like your prefaces, to be honest with you. I don't appreciate that. We here at Brain vs. Universe podcast are critical of LeBron James as we are of all the other basketball players.
Right.
That's it.
My favorite basketball player is Kawhi
Relax.
Leonard. Okay?
Yeah, Kawhi's my favorite player too.
If I said, okay, my favorite basketball player is Luka, you see, I could see where the connections could be made. But for me, the LeBron James thing is simply just the way that he stacks the decks.
Yeah.
He calls the initial cataclysm that led the original sin.
Chickens.
The original sin was LeBron James's decision to go to fucking Miami.
The chickens have come home to roost time and time again. LeBron James, I honestly think if he had maybe not stayed in Cleveland, but at the very least, if he had just handled that situation differently, right?
Like let them know he wasn't going to come back?
Maybe. I don't know.
Kawhi did the same thing and we killed him for it. Like
if LeBron James
he
doesn't...
bamboozled him.
Right, if LeBron James doesn't go to Miami, does Kevin Durant ever leave Oklahoma City? Does you say no?
No.
You think no?
I think some people move, but not at the confidence, and you will not ever see James Harden cross his arms in a press conference and say, trade me. I can't win with these guys. No one's ever disrespected their teammates that way in the history of the league.
Yeah.
It was actually the worst thing I've ever seen.
It's disgusting.
Ever.
Reprehensible behavior.
And the media didn't kill him. They killed his teammates when they started, when they were like, fuck this guy.
And I was like, yeah, you better relax, all right, for DeMarcus Cousins kick your motherfucking ass.
But the media didn't kill him because he was going to New York City.
Yeah.
And to get New York and L.A., as long as those two cities are relevant, it's good for ratings. I get it.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's a business. It's not just because people prefer the coastlines or something.
Yeah.
It's if I'm ESPN, I want the New York audience and the L.A. audience watching the fucking games.
Yeah.
So
and look, the final nail in the coffin is going to be if James Harden wins the MVP this year. If James Harden wins the MVP this year, I feel like they're conceding. They're just giving in to this. This is the way the league is now, and if you value the competition of the game, then it's not necessarily the game for you anymore.
No.
And I'm going to take it as such, and I'm going to peace out because I don't want to support this. That's the degree to which I disagree with this method.
Right.
That the rules, again, they implement these rules with the luxury tax and then go, well, you can just pay the luxury tax. Well, then
the richest owners can pay more than the other ones
then
can.
It's the same thing. You just added a rule that undoes itself. What? How?
And it's no coincidence that the three richest owners in the league are from New York and California. Well, they're based here.
Yeah.
The Chase Bank and them at Golden State. Steve Ballmer, that's Microsoft. He took over after Bill Gates. And Brooklyn's owner. Yeah. These guys are like, the only other guy that's off the chart is like Mark Cuban there in Dallas.
Yeah.
But even still, he spends the luxury tax. Mark Cuban has a little super team down there, too. It's not working out the way we hoped it would because Porzingis more or less can't stay healthy.
Yes.
But they are a scary team if they could just get their shit together and stay healthy.
Yeah. So something unforeseen, I didn't even hear that this had happened until like yesterday, I want to say. But Aaron Gordon is now a Denver Nugget.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did a hell of a job on Kawhi the other night.
Aaron Gordon's pretty good, man. He's pretty good. I like Aaron Gordon.
Shut down defender.
And he ain't no sucker. Aaron Gordon ain't a sucker. He not. I see it in his eyes. No suckerness in him. Okay?
If I could show the clip before the end, Kawhi, he blocks one of his shots.
Yeah.
And Kawhi hit him. Kawhi tapped him on the side.
Like, respect.
And just kind of did this. And Kawhi doesn't do that to anybody.
No, right, yeah.
Right, so for him to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Dame Lillard where there's so much respect out there for all the other players that that you don't even know who he really fears or who he reveres.
Yeah.
Sorry, by the way, Dame is like one of the easiest going people. A lot of people that love his like pop culture life, they think he's some sort of like hard-nosed gangster. That's not really who he is.
Yeah, he seems very reserved every time I hear him speak, actually. He seems really, pulled back.
But see, Kawhi's pulled back, but Kawhi's not to be trifled with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about that dude that even LeBron James goes, yeah,
Yeah.
we just let Kawhi do his thing.
But Aaron Gordon
Yes.
to Denver. Jamal Murray at 1. I know he's had a rough year, but I don't foresee it continuing forever.
And Ruff is still like 22 points a game, 45 from the field.
Right. And I think he's going to step up in the playoffs again. Why wouldn't he? He definitely did last year.
He's playing the exact same way he played in the regular season last year. And in the playoffs, I think he's just not scared. And part of just being in the playoffs isn't, do you actually get better? It's, do you just not fold into a million pieces?
Right.
If James Harden was 90% of the person that he is in the regular season in the playoffs,
have a championship.
He'd have several.
Yeah.
Because he's that dominant in the regular season. Dude routinely will put up 36 points.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the biggest indictment against him.
He's the best player on Brooklyn so far this year. And Kyrie's playing the best basketball he's ever played in his life.
Yeah.
And it's a team with Kevin Durant. Even though he's been hurt, we all know what KD can do. Yeah. But I'm not going to look you in the face and say that James Harden's better than KD in the regular season. He's averaging 9 assists, 10 rebounds, 30 points, 50 from the field.
So here's a question. Can Denver fuck with Brooklyn now?
No, not if KD's healthy. I don't think so.
You give them no chance. What would it be in a series in the finals, Denver versus Brooklyn?
No chance? Does no chance mean they lose ultimately, or does no chance mean they push it 6 or 7 games?
How many games would Brooklyn win in, if you think Brooklyn would win?
In Denver, 5.
Okay.
I think Denver would get 1 game because the Joker, he'd have one of those games where he has 15 assists and 30 points and 10 rebounds, which he does because he's honestly, the Joker might be my second favorite player. I'm serious.
It's interesting.
After watching what he did to the Clippers last year, he clearly got better in the playoffs. And some of those passes he was making.
Oh, my God.
And not just in the big, it wasn't just flake passes in the beginning of the games. There was 2 minutes left, tied ball game in the fourth quarter, and he was making those passes.
Yeah.
That means a lot. When the palms get sweaty and you're still throwing those passes.
I want to say it was game 4 or whatever where he got hot shooting the ball, and just every time it left his hand, it would just leave the screen because it would go straight up and then just drop in the net, and net would barely move every time.
If you gave Dirk Nowitzki LeBron James's passing ability, that's the Joker.
Yeah. That's very high praise.
Yeah.
He's right now he's number 1 in the MVP ranks, and I think he should win it.
So if they have the MVP and Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., they go 5 games with Brooklyn. If Brooklyn's healthy.
Because Brooklyn is I've never seen nothing like this team before. They might it might be 5 games no matter who the fuck comes out of there.
Denver would be a super team.
It might be 5 games with a healthy LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Denver would be
People don't want to believe that's possible, but I'm telling you it is.
In a normal year, Denver would be a super team. In a normal year.
Think about this. The Lakers went 6 games with the Heat last year. 6 games with the Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero at 21.
Whoa.
Listen, I like Jimmy Butler as much as his biggest fans. But I'm not delusional. Jimmy Butler's not Jimmy Butler's
I'm not gonna put up with this. Don't be disrespectful to Jimmy, okay? Has respect.
Where's Jimmy Butler? Jimmy Butler's like the 11th best player in the league.
Wow.
Okay. Maybe I can hear an argument for 8th.
And the number 1 realest nigga, though.
Oh, he is. But
we support Jimmy Butler over here. I will hear nothing else on the subject.
Listen, I like Jimmy Butler. I really do. And I think he did so well last year that he overachieved. And anyone that says he did not overachieve last year, come on, guys. You're not being realistic to yourself. You're
being disrespectful.
You're being like LeBron James fans.
Jimmy, come on over to the Clippers, man. Come on, man.
Oh, no. Listen, Paul George in the playoffs.
Paul George for Jimmy.
Paul George in the playoffs last year was like the 28th best player in the world.
That's disrespectful to the top 28 players in the world.
You're right. You're probably right about that. Some of those games,
the top 28 players in the world don't miss wide open layups.
Some of those games, he was a negative.
What'd I say? What?
Nah, that was
straight up.
I was just laughing.
Think
at
about
that. That's it.
Top 28 players do not miss wide open layups.
That is true.
That don't happen.
That is true.
That don't happen. Paul George did.
But we know one.
He did it last night. The night before last.
Yeah.
Against Denver. So the Clippers added Rajon Rondo, and I think
it's the best pickup so far, even more so than Aaron Gordon.
Wow. I don't know, man.
Well,
I don't know.
What did the Clippers need? The Clippers
a point guard.
Yes.
Rajon Rondo specifically.
and a vocal leader.
Agreed.
Yes.
A vocal leader.
Agreed.
As much as I love Kawhi leads by example.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't lead by, hey, fuck you, we're going to do it this way.
Yeah.
Kawhi wants to, when Kawhi was doing, I'm the biggest Kawhi fan, but I'm going to be honest. He was with the Spurs, who had a culture, and he went up to Toronto, who had a culture.
Yeah.
He turned them into winners because they'd always lose in the second round of the playoffs, but the culture was, we're all tight.
Mm-hmm.
That was Kyle Lowry's team. The Clippers were already a kind of, let's think about the Clippers culture for a minute. It's a culture that was inherited by, think about the previous owner of the Clippers and the reputation he built in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Boy, is it bad. If anyone but Steve Ballmer was ahead of the Clippers right now, they'd move the team to Seattle, straight up. But because he's able to basically pay for a whole other stadium in Los Angeles, which opens next couple of years. He didn't even ask the city of Los Angeles to put up a bond. He just went, you know what?
I got it.
Yeah. But it's all, how much it's going to improve the economy down there?
Oh, man.
He's going to win a whole bunch of loyal people in East LA.
100%.
He might just need to run for office after that.
Yeah.
If you think about this, the Lakers' base root, their roots go back to the Forum, not Staples Center.
Exactly.
They go back to, the real streets of LA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not the Hollywood version that you get when you move out here. And I love it. Don't get me wrong. But don't get me mistaken. Like most of the people that live in West Hollywood and in the Valley aren't from here often.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people that are from LA, they either move out of LA or they go where they know they're comfortable at.
Exactly.
Many of whom are in Glendale and Burbank. I'm not trying to say that, but I'm just saying it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like the Lakers represented something that was Showtime, and they were also like they were the blood. The purple and gold was the blood of Los Angeles to a large degree.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but once LeBron came over, I have to say, it became like as Phil Jackson says, the posse gang, right? Kobe, talking to people from out here, they love Kobe so much, not just because Kobe was a killer, but Kobe, he went into the Lakers tradition as if it was bigger than himself.
Mm-hmm.
He was part of a huge lineage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
LeBron has this kind of, and I don't want to just blame it on him, but this is the way that he approaches his business. He has this thing where he's the most interesting thing that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Lakers, not Jeannie Buss, not the coach, not Magic Johnson when he was there. At no point in time when Magic Johnson was the head of the front office, it always felt like he was just a regular GM, and he's not supposed to be that. He was supposed to be Magic Johnson,
Johnson
in Los Angeles. That'd be like Larry Bird in Boston.
Yeah.
We never got to see that.
Yeah.
Man.
But LeBron kind of was he's such a reality figure.
Mm-hmm.
When I say reality figure, I mean like reality TV figure. He has his own soap opera that comes with him, straight up. And most Laker fans I talk to, although they won a championship last year, they're not as proud about that championship as they were about previous ones because they just didn't feel like the city there was this missing part.
Yeah.
The only team that really talks about Los Angeles is the Clippers. I'm being honest with you right now. The rest of it's just about, Anthony Davis is hurt, LeBron James is out.
Yep.
But most Laker fans are still going to want to watch the games.
Yeah.
The media's treating them like they're the Minnesota Timberwolves or something.
Yep.
And they're not.
LeBron,
even on a shitty year, they're the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. I can tell you that matters for something.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, the Lakers organization is just different. And the Clippers will never flip this city. But I agree with you. They have a massive opportunity with
to
all
win
the
some new
transplants
fans
living here to become the make a play for, to be honest, lower class or lower income fans. Those neighborhoods, like, they watch TV too.
Yeah.
They have spendable dollars as well. Become, everybody in Compton's favorite team.
Yeah. Compton, Inglewood.
Not that there's not a bunch of Lakers fans there
already there, but yeah.
But if you're 12 and you're out there playing ball on the blacktop, and there's a bunch of billboards of Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers, and they're this grassroots team.
You might go that way. That's how a lot of fandom is born, and I feel like that's not acknowledged. Sometimes it's as simple as you were a kid at the right time and you noticed that logo.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it.
Yeah.
You're a fan of that team now. There was something about the logo that struck you when you were 9 years old, and now you love the team. Or there's a family thing, or fandom runs
or
deep.
both.
Yeah.
In my case, it was both.
Yeah.
Like my dad was a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan.
Mhm.
I didn't really have a choice in the matter, but I remember seeing that star, and
Yeah.
I went, "This just makes sense."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so. If you could think about like what emblem makes it seem like it's the most important thing ever, it's a star like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what's gonna get you.
And I know that turns people off the wrong way, but it's Yankees when you see that hat.
Yeah, you know.
Exactly. It's
That
iconic.
N through the Y,
Mhm.
it doesn't work if you do it with other initials. But when you
Nope.
see it
Yeah.
that way, you think of the Yankees.
And for me, it was the Spurs. I saw them win that championship. What, 01? Was that 01? Was the first year they won? Or
No, they won
99.
99, yes.
So
Tim
the
Duncan and
99
David
year.
Robinson, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the 99 year and them winning that championship. We were 6 years old at the
Mhm.
time. But I vividly remember, I specifically remember David Robinson and Tim Duncan watching them play. That was the first basketball I can remember watching. And watching the parade and, oh, this is in San Antonio. Oh, that's not too far from here. What? That's awesome. And I was hooked after that. Spurs fan. Ever since then.
Yeah.
I've been a Spurs fan. And then later it evolved into it evolved into something else, my love for the Spurs. And that, like I say, Brooklyn is the antithesis of everything that I stand for.
Mm-hmm.
The Spurs are exactly what I stand for. They built the old-fashioned way, grassroots, the draft, good coaching, fundamental basketball.
Beautiful basketball.
You're not bigger than the team.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has ever been bigger than the Spurs. Not even Tim Duncan was bigger than the Spurs at any point. It probably hurt his legacy to a degree, to be honest with you. He doesn't get brought up in some of these conversations with the greatest. I think it's because he's so understated, though. Like, in his game. What the hell?
I can smell.
Oh, shit. All right. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
You can cut this little part out, I guess. I feel like that's why Tim Duncan doesn't get mentioned in a lot of these conversations, is because his game was so understated. One,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like him and Kawhi have that in common, but also the Spurs understated him to a degree.
Yeah.
In that, again, it was about the organization, the team, winning the championship more so than it was ever about any individual accolades. None of that shit mattered. And that appeals to me.
Mm-hmm.
That appeals to me.
Mm-hmm.
Just so I share those kinds of values or those kinds of sensibilities with the Spurs. So, again, it became more than that. Pop.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I love Pop. Like, he's my crazy uncle. He's everybody's crazy uncle. He's fucking hilarious. He's incredibly smart. And, again, his value system I identify with. I like that he'll snap on Tim Duncan as fast as he'll snap on anybody else. Because that's how you have to be.
Let's be honest. Pop built the Spurs like a family. He was the matriarch or patriarch, I should say, sorry. And he was the grandfather. And you respected his wisdom.
Yeah.
And he really cared. Let's be honest. Like, him and Steven Jackson butted heads a lot. But Steven Jackson would tell you to this day that Pop loves me as a person more than the issues we had in San Antonio. And I've heard him say that on multiple occasions, which tells me that Pop, like I've seen the way a lot of coaches, he's still close with Kawhi.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, they announced the Olympics to start. You know who the first person to sign up was? Kawhi Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's going to play. They were like, it might be a month away. You know, you're going to have to play maybe like 3 or 4 days after if you go to the finals, something like that.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's fine. He's going to go help out his dude, Greg Popovich. And we all know how that ended in San Antonio.
It'll be nice to see them together again.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I can't wait to see that. Yeah. It'll be nice
It'd be
to
beautiful,
see them
man.
together
Yeah.
again. And Kawhi has certainly evolved as a player, so seeing how Pop coaches him being who he is now,
right.
Oh, it's going to be great. But, yeah.
Come back
so
to
the
San Antonio, Kawhi, man.
The Spurs, yeah, and it's so sad seeing the direction that the organization has gone. Although it's like we've won more than just about everybody. You know, Spurs and good old Timmy have 5. I've had 5 in my lifetime.
5
in my lifetime.
And
LeBron's only up to 4, by the way.
They've done it like 5 different ways too. Like the last team that won, and they broke the scoring record.
Mm-hmm.
That was not at all the type of Spurs team you were used to.
Right.
Scoring records and Spurs were not synonymous back in 2005.
You, man, this shit is different. Pop is this talk. The talk is different. The speech is different. Pop, it's different.
He's the GOAT, man.
He's the GOAT coach.
Steve Kerr, as great as he is, he just got beat by 60.
Yeah.
Do you think a Greg Popovich team is going to get beat by 60 points? I don't.
Well, one with LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan.
But even still, he brought that team to the playoffs.
Yeah, he did.
And they're in the playoffs so far. If it's ended today, they'd be in the playoffs.
Shout out to Pop.
You just take it for granted that they're going to have a team that's competing.
But okay, so all right, so this year's Western playoffs with the league as it stands now, who comes out? Western Conference.
I
think the West is hard to call.
It's hard to call. It's not going to be the Lakers. I'll tell you why. You can't just miss the whole season and come back and play.
Yeah.
Right.
Anthony Davis is not KD. I keep saying this.
And the rest of the roster has diminished.
They're not as good as they were last year.
They're just not as good.
And
as
the other teams are better.
Yep.
And now LeBron is hurt.
Listen,
so
as they say, I'm not capping here, but I do think the Clippers are coming out because I think Rondo is going to be that important to that team. They got a guy they can trust in the clutch that can basically say, Paul, you're missing all these shots. I'm not going to you. I know to stop this before it happens. And I don't mind coming off like an asshole to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I do feel like a lot of those guys on that team, including Doc and them, they want to see people succeed to such a degree that they let Reggie Jackson have the ball at the end of the game.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Now it's hard for me to call. Because I had the Clippers when I found out they got Rondo.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, that damn Denver.
But
And Michael Porter Jr. has taken a big step forward this year. He looks, and Denver's size as well.
Yes.
Like they are very big. Joker can run the point at 7. They've got Bol. Did you see that?
Jamal Murray's a big dude too for a point guard. For Christ's sake.
Jamal Murray's big. Aaron Gordon's 6'10". Michael Porter Jr. is 6'10". Joker's a 7-footer. Bol is 7'3". Did you see that step back 3 he hit the other night?
I seen it.
At 7'3", crossover step back 3, straight net. They can put 5 guys 6'8" and up out on the floor at one time.
Damn.
And just have Joker play the point guard. They did it last year.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate for the Clippers
it's a little
real quick.
Scary. Okay.
No Ibaka yesterday. Ibaka is their best interior defender on the team, and it's not close. Zubac can't deal with the Joker. We already knew this.
Yeah.
They brought in Ibaka to help with those situations. We didn't have him yesterday, so they killed us in the paint. I also think that, and this is true, Paul George missed a week. He missed a week with a bad foot. And with a bad foot comes the inability to jump to a sufficient degree. He didn't dunk the other day on a wide-open layup because he couldn't get up there. His foot hurts. So I'd like to see them rest Paul George. Because even if Paul George chokes, I can at least count on him to be physically capable of making layups, for Christ's sake. That's not a high expectation. Okay, also, and not lastly, no Patrick Beverly and no Rondo. None of those guys played. So it's going to be a completely different Clippers team. Give Rondo 20 to 25 games with the Clippers going into the playoffs. By the time they meet Denver, which might be in the second round again this year, if I'm willing to bet, I take the Clippers. They were up by 3-1 last year.
They were up 3-1 last year. Yes.
So meaning they were dominant for 5 games.
They were dominant for 5 games. Yes. And then They weren't.
But in those games, they didn't. Apart from the Game 7, they were up by like 15 points going into the Game 6. Game 5 and Game 6, they were up by like 15 points in the fourth quarter, and they blew it.
I think they were up 19 in Game 7 or something crazy like that.
I don't know about Game 7. I think that was the game they just kind of didn't – they just got beat up in Game 7.
Yeah. Okay, but the current Western standings are the Jazz at number 1. It's nuts. The Suns at number 2. Clippers 3, Lakers 4, Nuggets 5, Blazers 6, Mavs 7, Spurs 8. So that would break down to the Clippers, I believe, would get the Nuggets in the second round in this instance.
Mm-hmm.
Here's going to be the Clippers' biggest problem. Paul George.
I mean, couldn't you have tried? Like, I know you believe that. It might be true.
From the bottom of my heart, I believe this to be true.
Let's just say Paul George is 50% of who he is.
Right.
Okay, that's just an average player out there starting.
Last year, he was 20% of what he is.
I agree.
In the playoffs.
I'm hoping that he's gotten so used to being humiliated that it's not that big a deal anymore to go out there and suck.
So,
just, you know what I'm saying? Like, go out there and just play. Listen, Paul George, you have house money at this point in time. Ain't nobody believing you.
No.
I'd be okay with you
least of all you.
I'd be okay with you believing this if we weren't watching him crumble already.
No,
the closer we get to the playoffs, the worse his play gets.
I totally think yesterday he's seen the Joker and he's seen Murray specifically.
He got out there against Denver and he was shook.
He had PTSD from the playoffs last year.
This man missed a wide open layup. You know how hard it is to miss a wide open layup when you 6'10"?
Yeah, but when you're scared of the backboard and you're afraid of the goal.
This is going to be a real big problem next year. Especially if they run into Denver in the second round, you can just erase Paul George off the. You may as well. They would be better off. If I mean this from the bottom of my heart.
Pay him off.
They should just not play him. I'd bench him. I'd sit his ass on the bench. We'd be better off without you on the court. His plus minus last year was a big minus, meaning he wasn't just not scoring the ball.
In the playoffs.
In the playoffs. He wasn't just not scoring the ball. He was taking shots away from someone else who could score the ball.
And they were trying to get him going. They kept trying to feed him the ball. One game he just kept shooting.
He kept shooting. He was taking 20-plus shots. It wasn't as though he wasn't shooting the ball.
And I've heard people say that, by the way.
And his turnovers, he turned the ball over plenty. He didn't just not help. And I'm tired of people presenting his play last year as though, oh, well, he just didn't help out Kawhi. No, he hurt the team.
He hurt the team.
All through the playoffs. They struggled to get past Dallas because of that motherfucker.
No.
Because of him.
It took Kawhi. Go back and look at the numbers for Kawhi against Dallas. He was fucking playing outside of his mind.
His mind that first series.
Because Luka was dropping over 30 a game. Kawhi had to not just match that. He had to play better than that motherfucker. Because Paul George, he had one good game. Game one of the playoffs. He went out there, and I think I'm going to be honest with you. He went out there game one of the playoffs, if I remember correctly, in less than 30 minutes, like dropped an unreasonable amount of points.
Yeah.
And they beat the shit out of Dallas. And you and I looked at each other. We watched the game.
That's it.
We were like, they're going to sweep them.
It's over. That's
It
it.
ain't even close. Luka's too young. This other guy's just, Porzingis isn't the dude we thought he was.
Downhill from there.
Game 2, they lose. I think they lost game 3. They got down to Dallas at one point in time, and they had to come back and win. They beat them in 6 games. It didn't go 7. Let's be fair to them.
Yeah.
But the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
And then Stephen A. gets on my fucking nerves about the whole Denver versus the Clippers thing. He dropped 40. He didn't drop 40 on Kawhi. Go back and watch the game just from 2 nights ago. Kawhi had to help out with the Joker.
Yeah.
He had to go down there and help out Montrezl Harrell and Zubac, who couldn't do a fucking thing with that dude.
They couldn't do shit with
Kawhi
that boy,
was down
man.
there trying to do the same thing he did to Giannis.
Yeah.
Well,
Joker is too skilled for that.
Yeah.
guess what happened, though? Murray and Paul George got matched up. And Paul George scored like 8 points, and Murray dropped like 44 in Game 7.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to get Kawhi off the hook, but you take Kawhi off that Clippers team in that playoffs last year, I think Dallas sweeps them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sweep them.
Yeah.
They don't even win a fucking game.
With just Paul George and Lou's sorry ass out there. I'm sorry.
And if you're thinking, they went 6 games the year before with Golden State, that wasn't the same team out there. And I would argue that Golden State was just being lazy.
I would argue so as well. They they absolutely were fucking around.
If I put a gun to Golden State, metaphorically speaking, gun to their head, they sweep that fucking team. Because we've seen them against teams that are those Cleveland teams with LeBron James are better than them.
Absolutely. Those people don't see, but again, the goalpost has moved to such a degree on the term super team that Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, and Kevin Love weren't considered a super team.
It's crazy.
And they kind of are.
Listen.
By standards from 20 years ago, that would be considered a super
if
team.
If Kawhi Leonard, and I mean this when I say it, if he had Anthony Davis last season,
he would have won the championship.
And Paul George had LeBron James, or LeBron James had Paul George, I should say it that way. Kawhi comes out.
Yeah.
He comes out. Now, I know what people are thinking. You're thinking LeBron James makes people around him better, and that we've never seen anyone choke in the presence of LeBron James. You'd be wrong to assume that. We've seen a whole legion of people be thrown under the bus playing with LeBron James.
Oh, it happens.
And Paul George would have been the perfect. You think the hellstorm that came on Paul George with the Clippers was bad? Imagine if he played for the Lakers with LeBron James and he did that. The difference would be is ESPN wouldn't blame LeBron. They blame
100% would go.
No.
You wouldn't hear Stephen A. Smith put the caveat and say, I'm not worried about Paul George. I'm worried about Kawhi. Because if you're that dude, you make the other guys around you step up.
Yep.
The ships rise with the tide, that type of talk. And anytime people say shit like that in generalization, you shouldn't trust them anyway.
Uh-huh.
But
Lord have mercy. What a ridiculous premise. I'm supposed to motivate you. Sorry, you're a grown fucking man. You do this for a living. How's that for motivation?
Agreed.
I'm not finna sit here and motivate you. What, I look like a sucker in the face or something? What do I look like sitting here trying to motivate? It pisses me off, the idea that somebody's supposed to motivate you to do what the fuck you supposed to do.
Agreed.
You play ball for a living.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people to go to church if that's what they need.
You scared go to church, motherfucker.
True. No.
Scared go to church.
Because at least in that atmosphere, the belief factor is real. It's not like overnight. People at a church, they believe the same thing the next week going into it too. It's consistent.
Yeah.
But if that's what you need, go to church.
Look.
Specifically, go to a church with a motivational ass speaker. Go to Joel Osteen's church, man. Just pray to God you get a car, man. You get a Mercedes-Benz, black on black.
Yeah. See how far that prosperity gospel gets you.
Yep.
Good luck to you.
Shout out to Houston.
So, yeah. All right. Well, perfect transition. So, transitioning away from the NBA, the NFL, Houston, Texas.
What the fuck, man?
What the fuck, man?
That's literally all we can say to that shit.
I mean, my God, what is going on?
It makes no sense.
What is he? What? So, for anybody who maybe hasn't heard about this story, Deshaun Watson, the quarterback of the Houston Texans, there are apparently 21 lawsuits being filed against him for different types of sexual misconduct.
Yes.
Toward masseuses.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it started with, of course, it was like, 3, and then they were like 6, and then it went to 12 and 15. Now it's at 21.
And it ain't gonna stop at 21.
Oh,
no.
If I've recognized anything, the moment you assume it's done,
yeah, it's when it
just add a few.
Yep. And these are women from across 7 different states. So this whole idea about, I'm sorry, but at a certain point I just have to go, yeah, something was going on. Something was going on. Like at 21 different women across 7 different states, all saying this
and they
guy,
all make a living being a masseuse, right? If it's in their nature just to go and do, fucked up things to men specifically, it would be something that you'd be able to prove in the court of law easily. Well, look at this history with all the her other clients.
Mhm.
But since it's your job, you're in personal training. If someone said, well, you're just if you had a bad interaction with someone,
Mhm.
but you've worked with a million other people, you can look at someone in the face and go, you're not only full of shit, you're like seeing this the wrong way. And if you ask most people, this is normal.
Yeah.
In the case of Deshaun Watson, like, we're talking about different women, 21 different women.
Yes.
And he has 15 women defending him, which is less than the number of accusers, which to me is weird.
Yeah.
Also, if you add that up,
that's a whopping 36 women. That's a whopping 36 masseuses. Masseuse?
masseuse. I think you can say masseuse because it's just
that's plural. Masseuse.
like deer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
works. Yeah.
Okay. The masseuse, the 20,
Oh well.
the 36 masseuse.
Okay. No. When you put it that way, yeah.
Huh?
I thought you were looking for the I thought you were the way you said it a minute ago. It would have worked.
Okay.
I have to play it back and
Hey, don't worry about
I'll text it in there.
Masseuses. 36 masseuses. This guy's got a real problem. How in the hell? And he did this over the course of the accusations go back a couple of years, maybe.
Very recent. Many
Yeah.
of them in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think it said most of them were in 2020. What I read about it was
my God.
over 10 of them were in 2020.
Yeah.
One of which was like 2 months ago. Like right before the allegations came out, there was a case.
Oh.
So it looked to me, and all right, I'm gonna say my 2 cents, and I'll let you guys have the floor. But haven't we noticed a pattern with? I don't want to use this word, but I don't know a better word. Predatory, like the predator behavior seems to be like it just keeps coming,
Yeah.
and then you go, "This is a pattern," and not only is it a pattern, there's a pathology here that's infectious.
Yeah.
To some degree, you almost you need to cut the cord.
Yep.
Because otherwise you're going to start making conceptual space for some really dark shit. And I felt like the same thing, and I don't want to bring up Harvey Weinstein, but when the first things came out with Harvey Weinstein, it was like one person. Then it was 2. Then it was 3. Then like 7 came out at the same time. And then before you knew it, it was like almost 100 women.
Yeah.
And that's being like reasonable because it's like 30 years. It feels like that. In a period of 2 years to have 21 different women come out and say that you did something inappropriate.
Yeah.
And as a male, I can tell you I've never been accused of doing things like that.
And definitely.
And that matters at some point in time because
yeah.
even if you make it as a sexual thing, this is your sexual partner. Like there's a level to this where it's like you go into different states, you're hiring different, you're employing someone different each time. And I don't want to profile this too much, but I imagine these women are attractive. I'm sure there's no men on his radar. I'm sure he's a pro athlete.
Yeah.
It would make sense to have the best of the best of the best. That's what, that's what they all do. LeBron James, go ask him, go ask Tom Brady. You spend a lot of money on the people you allow into your little small circle of excellence. It's very small. People don't get to drink from the fountain of youth so easily.
My God.
That's my point. Like if I'm a dude and I'm making $100 million to throw the football, and I'm also like considered this alpha dude, like Deshaun Watson, let's be honest here. Deshaun Watson had as much value, if not more value, than Russell Wilson or any of those guys. He was like the next best thing behind like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers,
Pat Mahomes.
That's
the list.
Yeah, that's the list.
That's a list.
And I would argue after watching Aaron Rodgers fuck up last year, I would say if I put Deshaun Watson in that same situation, he finds a way to score.
I would say so. He definitely wouldn't have done whatever that little.
He was going to be Deshaun. Let's
Aaron
be honest.
Rodgers did at the.
He was going to be Patrick Mahomes' nemesis. He was going to be the dude that he would lose more than he won. But just like Larry Bird, every once in a while, the Phoenix would catch fire.
Yeah.
He'd beat Magic.
Yeah.
And it happened. Happened 3 times, and that would have been enough to make him a legend.
This is what I say about Tom, right? This is what Tom got right. Tom never fucked up.
Yes. On and off the court, right?
You just
or field.
Yeah. You just if you just don't fuck up. If you just don't fuck up royally, just don't fuck up big. You'll be fine. You'll win a lot. because these other guys, they can't help themselves.
Listen, Tom's 60% of the player he used to be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But still, those habits you're talking about are still more valuable than everybody else in the league.
Exactly. Just not being a boring spaghetti guy. Just being a boring spaghetti guy. That's the best way to be. Just be a boring spaghetti. Take your ass home.
Let your sophistication put that in the stuff you're good at.
Right.
Right? Don't worry about the rest.
Man.
Yeah.
And there's also some odd shit going on. So apparently the lawyer representing the women doesn't or hasn't given the evidence to the Houston Police Department because Deshaun Watson's his lawyers has a relative in HPD or something like that. But the problem with this is that you can't give the evidence to Dallas Police Department or Austin Police Department. It has to go to Houston Police Department. So that doesn't make any sense. The logic. My theory is, again, I think he's holding out for the season to start because that's going to apply way more social pressure because they don't. Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans, they do not want this going on when the season starts.
Yeah.
That is the last thing. They already look like shit.
I feel like they're still trying. It went from him wanting to be traded to I think Houston's going to try to trade him.
Right.
Which is a hell of a turn of events if you think about it.
Yeah.
You go from like if metaphorically speaking, Houston would get down and suck his dick just about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Now that ain't happening.
Yeah.
If anything, they're probably trying to cut the cord as quickly as possible.
Yeah. If I'm in another organization, I'm not going nowhere near this motherfucker. It's not worth it.
It's about time though.
It's not worth it.
Who are some of the dumb organizations that would still do it?
The Jets,
The Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Man, there's a few.
I feel like the Raiders would definitely do some shit like that.
Yeah, especially now that they're in Vegas.
Yeah.
Something about being in Vegas now. It basically just allows you to commit a lot of sins.
Give into your heathenry.
Yes, exactly. You're able to just do shameful things. They're like a reality. They're the closest to reality TVs.
He's a real Gruden grinder. Deshaun Watson's a real Gruden grinder.
And let's acknowledge one more thing while we're here. If John Gruden didn't take over for Tony Dungy, you wouldn't know who his name was.
Yeah.
Tony Dungy built that team.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
The permanent collection was designed, the collection of players that were established, Warren Sapp all the way to John Lynch to not Tiki Barber, but Rondé Barber.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Buccaneers. They also invented the Tampa 2 defense together. That was Tony Dungy and his assistant's idea. It changed the league.
Mm-hmm.
They were as close to the Ravens as you can be. If it wasn't for the Ravens, we would have thought they were the best defense since the 85 Bears.
Mm-hmm.
The reason we didn't see otherwise was because that's how great that 2000 team was. But they were almost as good. They had a 38-year-old quarterback when that meant something. Tampa's offense was not the offense they just had this past year.
Yeah.
Tony Dungy went to the NFC Championship a couple times. It was his team. He formed it. He was a defensive mind. Gruden came in, and he won a championship the next year in 2002. And all this, between that and the Chucky doll, we've bought into Gruden like he's Madden.
Yeah.
And he's not.
He's a real Gruden grinder.
Have some respect for John Madden. John Madden has the highest winning percentage in the history of coaches.
Really?
Yep. He does. He only coached for a few years, and he won 2 championships, much like Jimmy Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He had many reasons. First of all, he has an irrational fear of flying.
Yes, I've heard.
So
this.
he got tired of the road.
Having a. Can you imagine?
If you
That's
don't,
crazy.
Yeah,
hell no.
And one thing that he's not given credit for is he knew it was crazy to be afraid of it.
Yeah.
But I assume if that's a real thing for you, it's like you're not going to put yourself through the anxiety of going into a plane all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you have the money, I suppose, to just do it how you want to do it.
Yeah.
And he liked road
means.
trips,
Yeah.
clearly. But
Yeah.
I could imagine why that's a pain in the ass. Also, he says what all the greats say. The taste of losing was far more sour than the sweets of winning.
Yeah. Losing hurt more.
Once you win a bunch, it just becomes like, this is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then you feel like the world ended when you lose.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Belichick had Brady. I mean, he's in that. He's of the same ilk.
Yeah.
But
Bill
I don't
ain't
think
looking so good right
I don't
now,
think
man.
Bill was better than Greg Popovich as a coach. And if you look at Greg Pop, he doesn't have Tim Duncan anymore. And Kawhi didn't stay. And the Spurs are competitive. They put a reasonable and respectable team out there, but they have no prayer or no chance or any business of winning a championship. And Pop would tell you that. Bill Belichick, I think he'll make the playoffs this year. I think they'll go 9-7 or 10-6. They made enough additions. Like, he wasn't fucking around. They spent more in free agency this year than they spent like the last 9 combined or something like that. It's a crazy statistic.
Jesus, Bill. That's pathetic. Seriously.
It totally tells you that there's this kind of ugly divorce that happened.
Yeah.
And he's having to buy furniture overnight.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And a new dog.
Lord have mercy. Come on, Bill. You better than this. You're supposed to be better than this.
You better not roll that team out and spend all that money as the GM
Yeah.
and not win that division. Or at least put up a fight to the Bills. If you can't do that,
Yeah.
you can't put up a fight to the Bills and you go back out where they won like 4 games last year,
It ain't gonna matter. The Bucks gonna repeat.
that's even more of an indictment to the point I'm making here.
Bucks gonna repeat. Watch.
And why are they going to repeat? By the way, they're the first team in the history of the NFL to bring back all 22 of their starters.
And that's something.
And, of course, Shannon Sharp thinks it has nothing to do with Tom Brady.
Of course. Now, come on, Skip. Why you doing
Skip.
that, Skip? Of course he does.
Go James. Somehow
Tom,
LeBron
man.
James is relevant to
Yeah,
this point.
Yeah. Always relevant. That GOAT James.
The truth is, some players don't want to play with LeBron. There isn't anyone in the NFL that doesn't want to play for Tom Brady.
That's true.
I mean,
That's just the truth. That's just the truth.
I mean, who's the exception to this rule? And we have an equivalent of LeBron James in the NFL. His name is Aaron Rodgers.
I think so.
If Aaron Rodgers could move around, think about this. I got a hot take here, but I think you're going to like it. If Aaron Rodgers could move around the same way LeBron James could, if he demanded the same social gravitas that LeBron James has, Aaron Rodgers would have 4 championships in the NFL. If he could just jump to the best team in the league,
Yes.
and drag other people with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tom did it one time in his career. At 43 years old, won a championship.
And I would argue he did not jump to the best team by any stretch of the imagination.
I think the Cowboys had a better roster offensively than they did, good as it was.
What were the Bucks last year? 9-7?
7-9.
7-9. They had a losing record, and they swapped quarterbacks and won the championship.
And it really wasn't that close.
Come on.
It really wasn't that close.
Come on.
Apart from the game in Green Bay where Tom had his worst game of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tom has his worst game in the playoffs of his career, and you still can't beat him. That tells you how scared. Not just how scared, but how incompetent the coaching staff and Aaron Rodgers.
He was. I seen it in his eyes.
Third and goal. Just run to the end zone.
That boy was shook. He had wide open field, too.
Did you notice that when they called the timeout, he didn't make a big deal about it at the time?
Right,
He looked relieved to be off the field,
It was
if I'm
only
being honest with you.
it was only until later that it, I can't, they decided to do that, so I don't really know, you got to talk to them about that. I'm sorry, you're Aaron Rodgers. You can't call an audible at the line?
And
Ain't you Aaron fucking Rodgers?
Let's acknowledge one more thing while we're on this point. If Stephen A. didn't say he was a bad man every Tuesday, I don't think we would think about Aaron Rodgers the way we do.
No.
At least in the media.
Yeah.
You might be right.
Because the real football world that I know, he's only won 1 championship, and it was over a decade ago.
It was. And, yes, it was just one.
Like, Tom Brady won more when he was in his early 20s, and he's won more in his 40s than Aaron Rodgers even dreamed about.
He's won 2 in his 40s.
But I don't see anyone on ESPN making that take.
Yeah.
And if they do, they're immediately turned into like, oh, you're a front runner.
Yeah.
I make this a point because like Tom is so great that even the hate and like almost even the Trump shit didn't hurt him. Like if he just didn't do the Trump shit,
he'd have a spotless record if it were not for that Trump shit.
Right? Yeah. And I think that to some degree that was already overdone because I think the dude didn't vote in the end because he's married to an immigrant wife, right?
Yeah,
that's part of it.
The greatest immigrant wife of all time.
That's a power couple, right?
She's the GOAT.
Would you put
the GOAT?
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that who's the best power couples we have in popular culture? Jay-Z, Beyonce,
first. Jay and Beyonce.
But Tom and her, Tom and Giselle's got to be up there, right?
Giselle, definitely.
Yeah, they're in that area.
You just look at the level of success that comes from both directions. That's part of it. Like, they are stronger together, but apart, they're still the goats in their profession to some degree, right?
Who are some other? Are there any others that I would? Not
Harry and Meghan.
You don't get them two nerds the fuck out of here. Get them out my face, man. Any other power couples? I don't think so. I can't think of nobody else.
I mean, big surprise, Kim Kardashian and Kanye didn't work out.
Yeah,
it didn't work out. You know,
they didn't work out.
I guess it worked out because they had kids together. No disrespect to them, but you wouldn't know they had kids unless you just remembered it.
Yeah, that's really.
Ain't nobody seen nothing about those fucking kids. Hey, Kim Kardashian, going on her Instagram, she ain't got a bunch of pictures of her kids. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
She's doing everything in her power to forget those kids. Yeah. If you don't believe me, look at her abs.
Oh, God. Damn it, Kanye.
Oh, man.
All right, folks.
All right. That's it.
I think that's going to do.
That's going to do. I was going to talk about the resurrection. But.
The resurrection?
Yeah, the resurrection. It's Easter.
Of Christ?
Yeah, the historical case for the resurrection.
Oh.
But.
Go ahead.
But. I was kind of hoping maybe we could do a little recording tomorrow. Because I'm a little too high to be talking about the resurrection.
Yeah, that end could hit you.
Because I wanted to make I have a good point. I've been, if anyone, I'll put it in the comment section below if anyone's interested. The Resurrection of the Son of God by Thomas Wright. He's a historian of the Second Temple period in Jewish history. Mm-hmm. So he's about, like, if there's 3 dudes on the planet that can really speak to this issue, he's one of them, and he's also a Christian, and he's a historian at Oxford, and he makes the best cases, and it's interesting to talk about, but it kind of deserves its own topic, I think. And in the case of Easter, I'm trying to be a little bit more reverent than I normally am, because I'm usually a bastard, but. In terms of the
oh, come on, give yourself some credit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can definitely do that tomorrow.
All right, for sure.
So,
all right, everybody.
We'll do it tomorrow morning.
Little Easter special.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. We'll celebrate our own way.
See you guys tomorrow.
We doing communion, nigga?
We could do communion.
Hey.
We should take communion.
I'm up for it.
All right.
I mean, I'm Catholic. Technically, it's not the Eucharist. Yes, what we're about to do here, because we don't know the wizardry to pull it off.
There's gonna be some rinky-dink Mickey Mouse shit, but it'll be our shit. All right, folks. All right.
Happy Easter Eve, and
take it there.
Peace.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
All right, guys. So we're going to end it right there. Of course, if you like the content, you like what we're doing, go ahead and like, subscribe. Also hit that notification button right underneath this video. That's how you're going to be able to know exactly when each one of our content is going to be launching. Also, thank you all. We appreciate you all taking your time out to listen to us, watch us. Of course, welcome to the family, and we'll be with you all soon. Peace.